This morning, Ukrainian troops safely removed this Russian missile, which failed to explode last night. A lucky escape for these women and their city, Kharkiv, which is Ukraine's second largest. But wave upon wave of Russian airstrikes is what Ukraine's president fears most. And he told today's security conference in Munich that the West needs to deliver the weapons it's promised, thick and fast.
There is no alternative to speed, because it is the speed that the life depends on. Delay has always been and still is a mistake.
This artillery shell plant in Pennsylvania has heard Mr. Zelensky's call. The Americans are ramping up their ammunition production to its highest level since the Korean War ended 70 years ago. Ukraine is firing some 5,000 shells a day along a front 600 miles long, and supplies simply can't keep up with demand. Against the odds, the Ukrainians are holding on, here defending the city of Bakhmut in one of the bloodiest campaigns of the war. The Americans reckon 200,000 Russians have been killed or wounded this past year, with waves of Russian conscripts still to arrive.
How do they manage? Through massive attacks and a large amount of manpower. They have much more firepower, so our infantry has to retreat to more favourable positions.
Yet the notorious head of Russia's Wagner mercenary force brazenly blames Moscow's military leaders for slow progress so far.
Why is the advance not fast enough? I think we could have taken control by the new year if we hadn't been hindered by our monstrous military bureaucracy and obstacles created on a daily basis.
The Russians are surely hoping that President Lukashenko of Belarus gets much more involved in the war. But so far he's refused. Thanks for coming, President Putin told him today. The reply, how could I not accept, sounded like Lukashenko admitting that it's the Russian who's turning the screw. The UK is training over 10,000 Ukrainian troops, buying them Soviet ammunition and sending them Challenger tanks. But even if these volunteers fight harder than their enemy, intelligence suggests that Russian bombers and jets are standing by to join the battle, air power on an unprecedented scale. So this year's meeting in Munich has been transformed into a commitment fest. How much can we send the Ukrainians, and how quickly?
My belief is we must absolutely intensify our support and our effort to help the Ukrainian army and people to resist, so they can take the counter-offensive, which will be the only thing to lead to credible negotiations under conditions chosen by Ukraine, by its authorities and by its people.
Today, a Ukrainian army lieutenant was laid to rest. Their true casualty numbers are kept secret in what President Zelensky describes as a David versus Goliath contest. And these are the graves of Russia's mercenaries, filmed late last month. Many of them convicts recruited from prison. This just a glimpse of the cost of a war which could drag on for years, amid no sign that either side is ready to negotiate peace.
Jonathan Rugman. Well, earlier I spoke to the Ukrainian MP Oleksiy Goncharenko, who's at the Munich Security Conference. I started by asking if he's confident that Ukraine will get all the international support it now needs.
I spoke just minutes ago with President Macron. I can tell you that this war can be really short. If Ukraine will receive everything we need and quickly, we will finish this war just in months. But if it will be prolonged, all this story will be long, like discussions about fighters, about long-range missiles, will last for months. That will mean that we will be for a long time in war. And that is a very bad scenario, not only for Ukraine, definitely, our country is devastated, our people are dying, but for the whole world, because all types of crises, food crisis, energy, inflation crisis, migration crisis, refugee crisis, everything will worsen from day to day.
And when you spoke to President Macron and you put that point to him, did you get the impression, Oleksiy, that he was listening, that he is prepared, together with the others, to send you more stuff more quickly?
I think that, you know how it was said about, you remember, German tanks. No, 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 yes. So I hope we see the big progress in all countries, European countries first of all. I hope that they will follow the leadership of the United Kingdom. I met here already Secretary of Defense Ben Wallace, who is absolutely great, who shows leadership. And I hope that other countries will follow this leadership which UK shows in order to provide Ukraine with everything needed. So there is progress, but it is too slow.
There are a lot of defense ministers in NATO that when you speak to them, they say, we are prepared to give Ukraine everything they want eventually, but we are also running out of artillery shells and tanks at home, and we need to be prepared ourselves. What do you say to them?
That is one of the problems which is discussed, that unfortunately the free world demilitarized itself. And, you know, it's a wishful thinking. So it's better to make love, not war, for sure. But if you have, as neighbors, dictatorships, they will sooner or later attack. And that was a mistaken policy when the free world demilitarized itself. And today, it should remilitarize itself. Only if the free world will be strong enough, that can be peace on the planet.
Final question, Oleksiy. There are no Russian delegates this year at the Munich Security Conference. In fact, the Russian president was meeting with President Lukashenko of Belarus. And there's talk of a new front, opening up from Belarus with a push towards Kyiv, exactly like a year ago. Does that image, does that prospect fill you with dread?
Yeah, we understand that we have a big danger also from our north, from occupied Belarus, because Belarus is in reality occupied by Russia. Can Russia escalate now? Yes, they can. But can they win this war and take Kiev? No, they can't. So the question is only when Ukraine will win. How much time will it take then Ukraine will win? And in benefit for the whole world, that it should happen faster, sooner than later.
And do you think the Russians will try to recapture Kyiv again sometime in the near future?
I can't say this for sure. I think that Russia will escalate. Will they attack again from Belarus, Kiev? I don't know. But there is such possibility. We can't say that there is no such possibility at all. But so we should be prepared for everything.
Oleksiy Goncharenko speaking to us from Munich a little earlier. And all next week, I'll be reporting from Ukraine on the first anniversary of the war.